Joining us from the University of Florida is Coach Amanda Butler. Our student athletes are Lanita Bartley and Jordan Jones. And we'll begin, Coach, we've got a 2-minute opening statement if you'd like.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We'd like to start with an opening statement from you,
Opening
if you
statement,
like.
yes, of course. Just really, really proud of all aspects of this ball game. Starting with our preparation, I think that our team has, experienced a lot of emotion this past week, from, the excitement of being in to then, having such a tough draw, and then generating the confidence that they did in practice, and, which obviously culminated with today's performance. But, just a lot of fight, a lot of determination and hustle, which I think are the defining qualities of this team. And, just really, really proud of the way they played for 40 minutes. Even some of those minutes that didn't go quite so well, I thought we were resilient and just wouldn't give in or give up, and fought the good fight all the way to the end.
Thank you, Coach. We'll go now to questions for our student athletes. Who wants to start off?
This is for the players. I mean, you guys have been in close games all season like this. A lot of them didn't go your way. Just what made the difference down the stretch today?
Knowing that you lose and you go home, I think that was a big part of it, especially having 5 seniors. We were constantly reminding ourselves in the huddles, this is not going to be our last game. We want to put these jerseys on one more time, and all those close losses during the season makes this worth it. I think we definitely learned from that, and it made us a lot more resilient.
Scott Cottis from the Fox Story Review Times. Jordan, I think you made a statement yesterday about Ohio State not seeing defense quite like yours. You kind of hit them in the mouth in the first few minutes of the game. How big of a factor was that?
Oh, it's huge. Honestly, all week long, all we've heard is Ohio State this, Ohio State that. Their guards average this, their post players do this, they run in transition. And honestly, we took that to heart. And we felt, I know Ohio State talks a lot about being disrespected, but we felt a little disrespected because I don't think people realize how good our defense is. And I knew that Ohio State hadn't faced anything like it, and I think it showed in the first 4 minutes and throughout the ballgame.
Ladies, John Wagner from the Toledo Blade. Will you talk a little bit about what the defensive assignment was on Prehalis? Who had her? What were you trying to do?
We just knew we had to stop the ball as soon as they caught it, because they were real good in transition. And we practiced that the whole practice, so we made sure somebody was stopping the ball, somebody getting back, and I posted back to help us.
Over here. WAXX TV guy in Columbus. There was some discussion with the other team about their attitude towards being seated here in Bowling Green. When you guys first saw that you were going to be seated here, possibly playing Ohio State, they won to Baylor, what were your thoughts? Were you ecstatic? Were you a little concerned? What were your thoughts about that?
Watch the video.
Yeah. I think we said we don't care. We'll play anyone, anywhere. It doesn't matter. We just saw our name come up on the screen, and I know there's a video online. We were ecstatic. It didn't matter. I've said it before. We could have been playing like the Lakers, and we still would have been jumping for joy and hugging and cries or tears of joy. So definitely just happy to be able to continue our season in NCAA tournament.
Ladies, will you talk a little bit about the offense, the 3-point shots in the first half? I mean, the taking and the making, obviously.
We just made sure when they weren't guarding us, because they really did pressure us that we was going to shoot the ball, and Butler made sure she said, just shoot it if you're wide open. So we made sure we did that, and we knocked down shots.
You obviously played with a little extra fire, it seemed today. I mean, how much of a challenge was it for you and Tara and Jordan to kind of slow down their guard play? And, you guys kind of did that in the second half. I don't think Ayla scored.
We just knew we had to come out and be aggressive because they weren't expecting it. So we just made sure we both, whoever close to the ball, get it out and go. And then in the second half, when we needed to slow it down and run the offense, we did it.
Any other questions for our student athletes? Yes, go ahead.
It seemed like every time Ohio State got close, especially there at the end, you were able to kind of put some more distance between yourself and them. What was the mindset when they got close? It seemed like fear and panic didn't kind of set in. What kind of prepared you guys for that scenario?
We've been there before. You know, we've talked about it. 10 of our 12 losses were by 6 points or less. So a close, you know, looking up and seeing a close score isn't anything that's going to faze us. I think definitely that's a sign of a tough team. And like I've said, I think we've also used the word resilient a million times. But that's the bottom line, is that we were tough. It didn't matter how close they got. We knew we had to answer. And I think a different person stepped up each time.
Ricardo LeCompte, KWTX here in Waco, right over here, ladies. You know, barring a major upset, most likely you're probably facing Baylor in the second round. How much have you seen them just, you know, on TV throughout the season, and just your initial first impressions of them before you get to watch them here in the second game?
I think all of us have watched them play multiple times. You know, they're on ESPN, it seems like once a week, and they're obviously a great team, seeded #1 overall for a reason. Obviously they have a great post player and a great point guard, so I'm sure we're going to watch this game right here and watch a lot of film tonight and be ready to play in 2 days.
Jordan, while the outcome was still in doubt toward the end there, you came up with a loose ball after a missed shot at their end. Zane, came up with an offensive board after you missed the free throw. What is that kind of, sorry about that.
That's fine.
Was that kind of indicative of the way you guys are able to make hustle plays like that?
Definitely. You know, I think you look at our team, and we're never going to be the most talented team, especially on Tuesday. Like you said, barring a major upset, we're never going to be the tallest or the fastest. So I think a big part of who we are is making the little plays and the hustle plays. You see, we all wear knee pads. That's a big part of who we are, is not being afraid to jump on the floor and do whatever it takes to get loose balls. I think that's a little thing that can separate you when there's a talent differential.
The final question for our student athletes. Ladies, thank you very much. You can head back to the locker room. Who wants to start off with the coach?
Coach, one of the things that Coach Foster said, was that your team was faster than Ohio State at the center position. Was that something you knew going in, or was it one of those things when the game time started you were pleasantly surprised by?
No, that wasn't a surprise at all. You know, we take great pride in the tempo that we like to play with. You know, and our post players our guards drive it, but your post players, I think, have to finish it. You know, it was definitely an area where we thought we had an advantage, and we just wanted to get up and down as much as we could, and you know, and try and make, you know, Adams or Moore or Beach, whoever was in there, to try and run with us. You know, they for the most part did a pretty good job, but that wasn't a surprise.
Coach, if you had to point to one or two things that were the difference in the game, was it defense, the three-point shooting, quick start to the game, all of those, none of those?
Well, I would definitely choose the all of the above answer. If I had to choose one, though, I would just say our defense, because our defense is what I felt like contributed to the quick start. And we feel really good going into the offensive end when we've done a good job on the defensive end. Our team takes great pride in that. It's a big part of their personality is, you know, what happened on the defensive end.
Amanda, when they did cut the score to 2 there at the end, and you went down to Jennifer, I mean, just kind of talk about that scenario there at the end of the game.
At the end of the game, you know, Jennifer's a great player, and it was a tough matchup for her once the ball got into the half court. You know, and I used all those words, intangibles, to describe our team, but I think Jennifer really displayed those as well. A lot of fight, a lot of toughness. You know, she got her shot blocked, I mean, stuffed a lot, and she just kept going back at them. And again, you know, I think showed a lot of resilience, you know, and just a great deal of determination. But, you know, we're fortunate enough to have great balance that we can do a lot of different things to try and score. But she's been the most consistent factor in our half-court offense all year, so we wanted to put the ball in her hands.
Go ahead.
Coach, just before that basket, though, you had turned the ball over on those 3 straight possessions to make it a 2-point game. Will you talk a little bit about what you were stressing in the timeout before that possession?
Well, we were talking about our defensive plan, and you know, we just wanted to keep doing the things that we're confident about doing, and you know, pass the ball better. I didn't feel like that the turnovers were because of anything defensively they had done to us. We just did do a good job of making decisions with the ball. So we just wanted to, you know, calm down, get our bearings. Let's not freak out. We've got a lead. We're in good position. Just like Jordan said, either fortunately or unfortunately, we've been in that position many, many times this year. And so, you know, at the end of the huddle, after you give all the instructions or whatever, I told all of them, I said, look at me. We're going to win, y'all. We've got this. And the looks back were very confident. And, you know, and so that at that moment I did, you know, have a little bit of a sigh of relief just because of the way that they looked. The confidence that was in their eyes was undeniable. And again, they just really believed in each other and the game plan and all the things that we've been practicing for, you know, I think we've had 97, 98 practices this year. And, you know, and that's what they did. They did the things that make us good.
Over here, Coach. You just said that you don't talk about your defensive game plans, but having said that, you were able to keep Samantha Perhalos out of the game. Did you have a plan for her coming into this game?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it wasn't just one plan. You know, I have great respect for Sammy. I hugged her after the ball game and told her that, you know, she's the best guard in the country this year, congratulated her on her career. You know, I think she's an amazing player. But, you know, we had a lot of different plans from, you know, who was going to be on her to, you know, whether we should trap, whether we should switch. And, you know, we had so much respect for Sammy and Ohio State for that matter, you know, that we game planned. We didn't just say we're going to do this one thing because we knew they would adjust. We knew that she would, and Taylor, you know, would overcome whatever we were trying to do. And, you know, we just wanted to have another answer. And I think it was subtle, some of the changes that our kids were able to make. But, you know, we played them a couple of different ways. And, you know, she also just missed a few shots. Sometimes we didn't play great defense. She just didn't hit. But, you know, again, in particular in the second half, her not scoring, I think we just had some really, really good individual effort.
One final question for me. Were you surprised that Fallshift didn't, when you jumped out to the 9-0 lead, were you surprised they waited so long to call that first time out?
No, you know, I even said this to, you know, my staff afterwards when we were just talking in the locker room before we came in here, that in all of the game films, and I feel like I've watched all of their games because we had such a long time to prepare, I don't recall him calling any timeouts early in games, but I don't think there were a lot of teams that had jumped out on them like we did as well, and so he hasn't been in that position maybe as much. But I think, you know, that's just a reflection of how much confidence that he has in his players and his guards in particular. You know, but again, I'm really proud of my kids for coming out and throwing the first punch and really setting the tone.
Coach, will you also talk a little bit about your three-point shooting? Not only were you hitting shots, but it seemed you were getting the threes right when they were making a run. They were kind of run-stopping threes.
Well, I think when you look at our team, you know, you can kind of maybe not predict, but have a feeling of, you know, here's some folks that they might take a step off of, and here's who they're going to really try and pressure up. And, you know, just like Nita said, we just encouraged everybody to take the shots that they felt good about taking. You know, we had a big conversation last week in practice as we were getting ready about what each individual's job was. And everybody's job is to be able to knock down an open shot if you're not guarded. And, you know, I thought our kids just really did a great job of looking for each other and then taking advantage of those opportunities when they didn't have a hand in their face.
Anything else for the coach? Here?
Coach, pretty much the same question I asked the players, but just looking ahead, you know, barring the upset, probably Baylor in the second round, how much have you seen of them, and I guess how much prep time have you looking forward for this past game have you gotten to look at?
I haven't looked at them in terms of scouting them at all. You know, I think maybe every other women's basketball fan in the country have admired the season that they've had, and you know, just the way that they've played, and you know, Coach Mulkey, how she's done such a great job of making sure that team came out ready with, you know, a high level of consistency because they've had a giant target on their back, obviously. But I haven't had, you know, any preparation really breaking them down. We'll get out there and take a look at them, and my two assistants that have been working on the scout will, you know, tell me what they've got, and we'll go with the game plan and see what we can do. But it won't be very much different from this one. We're going to try to play tough Florida defense.
Any final questions for Coach Butler? Great. Coach, thank you very much, and congratulations.